We
I
got
agree. 'Cause
lost in the sauce.
I'm 50 years old, and I consider myself, I mean, educated might be miseducated, but I done read plenty of books and I got some degrees and been through some places. And I am still confused. And I know that everybody else around me is confused. Semantics, word choice, taking pride here or there. It's real difficult to figure out who is who so that we can beat our way out this wet paper bag.
Well, here, and I've said this before. Uh, the only thing that you can actually be sure of in this life is your family. And if you follow your family line will tell you who you are and where you came from. But you're never going to really understand who you are and where you came from until you understand your family. Because by understanding your family, you're able to put yourself in context of the history that was going on in the specific time period that you're looking at.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So now you got a clearer understanding of exactly what was going on, and you had the ability to insert yourself into that understanding. And when you can insert yourself into an understanding, all of a sudden you're not confused anymore.
I agree with you. All,
You see?
all of, in my family
So,
tree, I I've always been told all my family is from four different small towns in Georgia. Ended up they stuff in Atlanta, over 4 or 5 generations,
that
and
makes
every
sense.
single one of them told me that great grandmama was an Indian on all four lines of my great great grands that I was blessed enough to meet and know. So it just as you grow up, everybody starts to make you think you crazy for thinking that, or that's a silly story. It's like comedy jokes,
Mm-mm.
but like
This
you
is
say,
what,
what did your family tell you? That's all they ever told me, and everybody else around me. That's what everybody think based on our oral history, the written history. When they
and
tell you the
wait a
answer,
minute.
who
Hold on,
discovered
hold on, hold on,
America,
sister.
the right answer
Hold
is
on.
supposed to be Christopher Columbus, and then we messed up from there.
Ain't anything, but hold on a minute. Because I need to get this out. This really kind of, it chips at a little piece of me. Why is it that every group of people on this planet has a right to their oral history and their oral traditions, and those oral histories and those oral traditions are respected, except us?
I
Why
don't
should
know.
you even have a question about what your grandma said? Why should that even be a question? Because we've gotten to the point now that we come to thinking that our oral traditions don't matter. But your oral traditions is always the root and the source of everything else you fixing to build on. So if your grandmothers and them said, "Hey, I'm Indian," then that's your foundation that you build on. Your job is to go in there and figure out which Indian.
Now let me ask you this. Thank you so much for this conversation. I appreciate your wisdom. I want to build on this. After I find out which Indians, what I, and I'm here for to learn and to love. So allow me to just be my own devil's advocate right here. No devil's advocate of this conversation because I'm here today and I'm gonna be in on it again tomorrow. I ain't going from this conversation. But let me ask you this: when I find out what kind of Indian I am, what difference does that make to me really today, other than how it makes me feel like a pride? What do I do with that?
I'm gonna tell you, and everybody else got whatever they want in this world they looking for. That's fine. But for me personally, it was something about knowing who I am, where I came from, and what it took to get me here. And when I can look at who I am, where I'm from, and what it took to get me here, then everything else I look like in front of me, I understand how to attack that stuff. What you gain out of following and understanding who you are and where you come from is the sense of comfort of knowing where your roots are.
Now, I feel that 100% because that's what draws me to these channels.
Well, check it out now. When you start looking at your family and putting your things together. Let's say
And
you're
maybe
building
that's
your,
enough because knowing is just enough. It just gives me
well, hold on, hold on, hold on,
that's what I'm
sister. Hold
asking you.
on.
Like it gives me a feeling of pride that energizes
You're
me and
gonna have it.
inspires
You can't
me.
help but
Is
have it.
that enough?
You can't help but have it. Yes, that's how come
Okay.
it can't be enough? Why
I
is it?
wonder if it is. It feels like enough, but I'll be wondering, am I doing enough? Am I
No,
supposed to be
because
looking
you're
for
trying
more?
to.
You know what I mean? Am I supposed to
Yeah,
be
you see,
showing
you
up for the
trying to
rally?
judge it.
Well, what do I do with that?
You trying to judge what is actually true and good in your life based
Hmm.
on some external view from somebody else's life.
I
Sorry,
got
sister,
you.
that don't make no sense. It's called a family tree, and a family tree has to have roots. You got to get back to that root.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to that root, something changes in you.
Yeah, you're right.
Your
I
thinking
feel
will
it too.
start to change, and your feelings will start to change, and your understandings will start to change because you made a
Hmm.
connection back where you're supposed to be. And
Thank
that's
you,
a
my.
certain amount of inner strength that you're going to get from that. That's a certain amount of inner courage that you're going to get from that. That's going to be able to propel you into the next generation.
I receive that, and I feel that. That just was you. Thank you. You confirmed something for me. I just be wanting to know, is that enough? You know how sometimes you feel like, should I be doing more, or is you know what I'm
Well,
saying? Like, is that I get that personal feeling. That's why I'm here in these conversations because it makes me feel wonderful. The more I know, is that
well,
enough? And
think
thank you
about
for
it
that.
this way. How, how how much is your personal happiness and satisfaction worth?
Everything.
Then you would receive a gift of a value that nobody can estimate.
That's right.
But you'll only see the value in that gift if you remove the external concepts of money or any other non-living item.
I feel
See,
you. Thank you.
you try to bring the concept of this outside world into an inside situation where it does not belong. We are put here on this planet to make a journey. And
Hmm.
part of that journey is to get an understanding. You cannot buy understanding.
That's right.
You obtain understanding. You obtain that from your existence. So when you get to the end of your life, at least then you understand the steps that you had to take to get there. And if you're fortunate, you'll be able to tell somebody from the next generation, this is the path I walked. So when they start walking down that path, they can recognize the path that they're on. And once they let's go back and get that book because this word's going to come in good. It says if you train a child in the way he's supposed to walk, he'll never deviate from that path. And that's a little kind of jumping up some, but you get the basic understanding of what I'm trying
I
to tell you.
do. I do. I'm sitting here nodding my head. I do. I'm feeling
So
every
this
bit
is
of this,
what you're
brother. I
supposed
thank
to
you.
do. This is your purpose. Your purpose ain't no fancy car. Your purpose ain't no big house. Your purpose ain't even the clothes you got on your back. Your purpose is to obtain, compile, and complete a list of knowledge that you finna pass on.
I feel that 100. I feel that. I
When you
I
pass your
I,
stuff on, you go to the great beyond where you join your ancestors.
I do think we
But
take it with us.
that piece of knowledge is supposed to transfer to the next generation. And the only way you can do that, which ties us all the way back to the beginning, is your oral. You have to tell it to them. Your
Mhm.
oral history is just as valid as anybody else's oral. Don't
Mhm.
never let nobody downgrade the oral history that you were taught.
Mhm.
See what I'm saying?
Yes,
That's
sir.
your history.
Brother.
That's your oral history. That's what's been passed down to you. That's your generations before fulfilling their mission by giving you what you need to do to take on your mission.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, this is
Well,
not
I
going to
thank
be
you.
a mission that's going to be over in just one or two generations. This is supposed to go on for another seven generations. I'm sorry to tell you. And you got to be able to come up with some kind of plan that you hope is going to work in the seventh generation as well as it worked in your generation.